As a person with a very deep voice, I'm hired all the time for advertising campaigns. But a deep voice doesn't sell B2B, and advertising on the wrong platform doesn't sell B2B either. That's why if you're a B2B marketer, you should use LinkedIn ads. LinkedIn has the targeting capabilities to help you reach the world's largest professional audience. That's right, over 70 million decision makers all in one place. All the big wigs, then medium wigs, also small wigs who are on the path to becoming big wigs. Okay, that's enough about wigs. LinkedIn ads allows you to focus on getting your B2B message to the right people. So, does that mean you should use ads on LinkedIn instead of hiring me, the man with the deepest voice in the world? Yes. Yes, it does. Get started today and see why LinkedIn is the place to be to be. We'll even give you a $100 credit on your next campaign. Go to linkedin.com/MPN to claim your credit. That's linkedin.com/MPN. Terms and conditions apply.
Entrepreneurs Enigma is a podcast for the ups and downs of entrepreneurship. So the wins and the fails that we all face being entrepreneurs, how we learn from adversity. Every week I talk to a different entrepreneur with a story to tell. I'm Seth Goldstein. Come with me on the journey. This is Entrepreneurs Enigma. Let's get started. Hey everyone, welcome to another edition of the Entrepreneurs Enigma podcast. As always, I'm Seth. You're probably sick of me by now, but if you are, then why are you listening to the podcast? So that's kind of interesting. So probably not sick of me for some strange reason, but that's a good thing. So today I have a friend of mine, Cash Miller. He is the CEO of Titan Digital down in Murfreesboro. I guess I think that's how you say it's not spelled Murfreesboro. It's spelled like Tennessee. But then Tennessee. Titan Digital is an Inc. 5,000 fastest growing digital marketing agency. He is a veteran twice over. He back in the 1990s, he was in there when he was young, kind of got his life organized and all that. And then in 2007, he went back in and when actually was deployed to Iraq and Afghanistan. So thank you for your service, sir. And let's bring Cash in here. Hey, Cash, how's it going, buddy?
Good. How are you?
Pretty good. So two enlistments.
Yep.
Or were you or were you kind of like part-time during that other time?
Oh no. The first enlistment was 3 years, and I joined when I was 20.
Yeah, so like most kids get out. They're like, I don't know what the hell I want to do. I need some straightening out.
Yeah. I had what would be known as a come to Jesus moment. Before I joined, and it was, needed to straighten my life out, and the military was the way to go for me, the Army. And the first thing I was like, I lived in Las Vegas at the time.
Oh geez.
And I got to what's known as the MEP Center, and they're like, okay, where do you want to go as you're, getting signed up and everything? I'm like, as far away as possible. So I ended up going to Germany.
Ooh, good beer.
It was 1995 and stuff. So it was, the military was kind of
post-war, post the wall is down, but it's still kind of a little crunchy.
Yeah, we were kind of drawn down a little bit, but we still had a lot more troops than we do, now. So I was like, and it's funny because I got there in November, or let's see, it was October of 1995 after I'd done my basic training and everything.
Oktoberfest.
Yeah, I actually did go to Oktoberfest in '98 with some buddies, but down in München. But I was stationed in a place initially called Kirschgoens, and then we moved to another base called Gießen. It's 45 minutes south of Frankfurt, which is like in the center of the country. But at the time, it was still that kind of 1980s military, a bit, and
a little heavy, and
it was drawn down some. But I joined my unit, like I got there. The stupid thing is in Germany, the age limit to drink is totally different. So I was about to turn 21, but I hadn't yet. I got off the plane and I was already allowed to drink. I'm like, that just spoiled the whole 21 thing because I get here and I can do it right. I can do it right away. And then it was not even 2 months later, my unit was training in the field. So I ended up joining them in the field.
Yeah.
Which is for manuevers, exercises and stuff,
practice. You got to practice.
Yeah, you got to practice. But not even 2 months later, the Bosnia and Herzegovina, the Kosovo the whole
The
Yugoslav
whole
breakup.
Post-draft, yeah.
Yeah, Yugoslavia had broken up, and President Clinton at the time they'd done the Dayton Peace Accords,
Yeah.
and they said, okay, we're going to send in peacekeeping troops, and it was my division chosen. So I'd been in Germany 2 months, and I found myself on like New Year's Day on a bus on my way to Bosnia and Herzegovina. I had not gotten a chance to enjoy
Wow.
anything. I wanted to go to Germany so I could also experience it. It was,
Yeah, but then
wasn't
you
just
get
the
more
military.
experiences. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
like,
it wasn't just
that
the
was a wild
military.
ride. Yeah.
Yeah, and I ended up spending like 9 months over there. I was one of the first like 1,000 troops. So it's like January. I mean, it's like a real wake up call to life in general, because I was on a bus. We went from Germany through like Hungary. We get to Bosnia and Herzegovina, and I was in artillery. So we get the bus, and it's just a regular coach bus, big ass bus. We've got our gear, and our equipment had been sent on train earlier with some of the people in my unit.
Yeah.
And so we're there to join them. The bus stops. I'm looking out over this farm field covered in snow. It's cold as hell. Guy comes up to the bus, says, "Go find your gun." It's like, okay, well, welcome to the Army.
Yeah, let's get the party
Yeah, my
started,
gun's like set up out in the field and stuff, because we had like 3 or 4 people. I think it was 4 people of our section, there,
Yeah.
and it's like, okay, great. And so that's how I spent like the next 9 months of my life until we got like rotated back. And I'm like,
Oh, wow.
so
Your stories, to say the least.
yeah, you end up with a lot of story. Any military person will tell you that there's a lot of stories, because let me say it.
Because then in 2007 you went back in.
Yeah, and now 2007 I was older and wiser and a bit more prepared.
You knew what you were getting yourself into, but still, now you go somewhere hot.
Yeah, because in 2000,
we're gonna take a quick break, hear from our sponsors, and get right back to the show.
You may know you're listening to this show along the Marketing Podcast Network, but did you know there are other great shows on MPN to help your business? Matt Bailey hosts a fantastic podcast called The Endless Coffee Cup. Matt, tell these fine folks what they'll get when they listen.
At Endless Coffee Cup, we go beyond the headlines with a regular discussion of marketing news, media, and culture about our complex digital lifestyle. Of course, with my emphasis on education, I have great guests from all over the world that share their stories, giving listeners unique insights into their experiences and expertise.
Sounds super useful. Where can people subscribe?
They can go to my website at sitelogic.com or find the show at marketingpodcast.net. Or hey, we're everywhere, wherever you get your podcasts.
You heard him. Go subscribe. You probably know you're listening to this show along the Marketing Podcast Network, but did you know there are other great shows on MPN to help your business? I'm Jason Falls, and I host Winfluence, the Influence Marketing Podcast. Now, you'll note I didn't say influencer marketing. I said influence marketing. Why? Because the goal is to truly influence an audience to take action. We talk about the strategies and stories that move beyond engaging just social media influencers and tap into your community to find influential voices. It's a different way of looking at it. We call it community commerce marketing. Influencers are still a piece of it, but there's so much more. I talk to creators, brand and agency side marketers, and the thinkers in the space to help grow your business. Come learn with me on Winfluence, the Influence Marketing Podcast. Find it at winfluencepod.com, marketingpodcasts.net, or search for Winfluence wherever you get your podcasts.
2007, when I joined, I mean, I knew it was a given that I would be deployed either to Iraq or Afghanistan. The likelihood at the time was Iraq. And so I joined back up in like March, or was it? No, I joined up in January of 2007. They put me through a refresher course with people. It basically, can you shoot and can you march still, and can you take orders? And it was like, yeah, I can. So you go through, instead of basic training again, the Army had a program for people transferring from other branches or that were prior service. I ended up getting trained for like 4 weeks by the New Mexico National Guard.
Oh, wow.
I mean, it was like,
and then you also became a sergeant then. So
yeah, it took me like 2 years. I had a plan when I went back in. So I was a bit older. I was 32 at the time. So I'm like, okay, I don't want to work for a bunch of people that are like younger than me and things like that. I'm like, so I got to get promoted quick. So I did everything in my power, and I had to wait 2 years to be able to get it. I managed to get it in 2 years and like 1 month.
Oh, nice.
To be able, I hit almost the exact time allowed, and I got promoted to E5 sergeant when I was in Iraq. did my what's known as a promotion board and stuff. And yeah, I remember the sergeant major. He said, if you pass the board, you're going to walk out and you're going to be promoted next month. You're right, because I'd already gotten all my points, which the Army works off a point system. And I was like, yep, that was the idea. But I also wanted the extra money too, because it comes with a pay raise.
Of course. So fast forward. So you got out of the military. I'm looking at your LinkedIn over here. You were still in the military when you started Titan.
Yeah. Yeah. So I had been an entrepreneur for like 8 years.
Yeah.
I'd run a business in between. I'm not good about working for other people.
You went into the military. Wow.
Yeah. Well, I did the military
right there. That's an enigma. Enigma. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, like I say, it's the military is not the same as working for a company or a business. And I work for I tell people I never lasted more than 3 months at any actual job. So and that's the truth. I never did. Except for the military. But so I started
in the military. So
well,
it's not to be kind of committed. So
yeah, you have to. So when I went back in, going to Iraq, I needed basically, it was kind of a hobby, in a sense. I started a small business website. I started writing a lot of content for it. And I said, one day I said, how do I get traffic to this thing? So I started studying, SEO, and it was 2007. So it was still very early in SEO.
The old, you're an OG. Yeah.
Yeah. It's there's a bunch of stuff that, like people would put out online just like they do nowadays, but the tactics were a lot different. It was still, like I say, it was very early in the field, and there weren't any kind of professional courses really. I mean, there was some stuff that individuals had put out to teach you, but that's it. And I spent the next few years studying. The first thing I figured out is I didn't want to write all the content myself. So I started contacting business coaches, figuring that their content would be the same as what I'm writing anyway. So I would find content online that was written by coaches, and I would ask, I'd contact them and say, hey, do you mind if I publish on my site? That way I could focus on the traffic. Well, I was doing well enough on the traffic that some of them started asking me, because they were getting referrals. I put in their links and everything back.
Yeah, you scratch my back, I scratch your back kind of thing.
Yeah, I give them the credit and stuff. It's their content. But they started getting traffic to their site from my site, and then they started asking me, like, how are you doing this? Like, and can you help us? And some of them were willing to pay me. I'm like, okay.
And this is while you're in the military too. So
it's like, say, before side hustles became a thing, whoever coined the term side hustle, I was doing my own side hustle.
Yeah.
And one thing led to another, and eventually I get to like 2011, and I'm in Afghanistan, and my contract's coming up, and I'm like, okay, so do I want to keep doing this military thing, or do I want to go back to being an entrepreneur, and I'll start
different kinds of shots fired?
Yeah, well, they say when you're deployed, I'd been at that point at the end of my contract another 4.5 years. I spent 7.5 years total. So at the end of that 4.5 years, I'd been gone a lot. I mean, I had a family at that point. I'm like, do I really want to? Because I knew I would get deployed again. It's just inevitable. So I was like, let me see if I can make this a shot. And I started, our agency, and I started with just to focus on SEO. That was it. Now, the focus on SEO lasted 2 months. And, when I go to sell my first client and they don't have a website, I'm like, I can't sell something I can't SEO something that doesn't exist.
You did it backwards. Like I did web design, went into SEO. So I had the structure to build out stuff. You went from SEO and realized, oh crap, I need to put this stuff on.
Yeah. And so I started teaching myself WordPress, and I had found a graphic designer to help me. And it was the first site I ever sold, and I didn't sell it. I gave it to them.
Oh, wow.
Because I signed them to a monthly SEO contract.
Yeah.
And it's the best freebie I ever gave away, because they ended up a client. They only just recently retired. They were a client for something like about 10 years total.
That's a big client. I have a few of those. They're like lifers. I've redone their site like 3 or 4 times already.
Yeah, and they never let me redo the site. It was up there for the 10 years. Horrible. It was like, I did it for free, and but I ended up.
WordPress is not what it is now. Exactly.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I used a free theme at the time to get it done, but that site made me over $40,000.
Wow.
Like I say, because didn't charge nearly what
you never do when you
us
start
and others
out,
charge. Yeah, it was charged like $350 a month to do the SEO, and they were in Nashville. Got them ranked.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean,
That is not what people charge.
exactly.
Now.
But I mean, it was over a decade ago, so it's like,
yeah, exactly.
You do what you have to do to land the first client. Hell, it took me 2 months to land the first client, and then I ended up getting two and within like a 2-week span. But that
It
first
always
2
works
months,
out that way. So it's like, it's just like kind of karma gets going.
yeah, and but boy, I'll tell you what, talk about nerve-wracking when it takes you 2 months and you're like, I just gave up a career to see if this would work, and it's not working so far. I'm like, ugh. But
you got to bite it and just kind of keep going.
Yeah, I ended up hiring my first employee actually within like 6 months. Because
wow.
Yeah, because I started selling websites, and now let's say fast forward to now, and I've got 30 plus. I think we're at 32 or something employees or something.
All remote, or do you have an office now? Or?
We've got multiple offices, but then they're allowed to work as remote as well. So
there's a place that can congregate if they need to congregate, but
there's value in being able to get people together, but it's not necessary to have them together every day.
Thank you. There's a lot of these companies need to realize is that they don't even require them to come in, just have on sites. They literally have on sites, not off sites, because you're off site all the time, but have on sites. Mm-hmm. And have everyone get together monthly to talk about what's going on,
Yeah. So it's, the agency side it's been a roller coaster over the years. You have your ups and downs, like you would know. So.
Absolutely. So what's the best thing about being an entrepreneur in your mind?
Honestly, the best thing, you would say freedom, except that I talked to somebody the other day. It's like, well, it's
different kind of freedom.
Yeah, it's a different kind of freedom because I'm not told what to do.
Yeah.
But taking a vacation can be a pain. Yeah, because you've got to let everybody else do their job, and hopefully no fires happen that you got to put out.
Exactly.
But really, honestly, the best thing about being an entrepreneur is the ability to let your creative side, free. So, you have, when you see an opportunity, you have the ability to pursue it. You don't need anybody's permission. You just have to decide whether it's worth pursuing and what resources you're going to put towards it, and that's the beauty, because you have an outlet that's natural. Like everybody's got some sort of creative bent to them. It just varies. I'm a horrible graphic designer. Okay. So I don't have that kind of,
judging from that 10-year-old site, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Mine is about being able to I tend to fall into that visionary thing. I can see it. Give me somebody else's idea and I'll figure out how to run with it. I'll come up with their original ideas and I'll figure out how to run with it. I'm really good about, being able to do that. And that's the enjoyable thing for me is I see something like we've gotten into podcasting too. And, we go from doing our own shows to signing other people up to do their shows and do production and, and it's that kind of thing that it says, what are the possibilities? Yeah, it can morph and you can pursue it. You got to know if it's not working. You also need to learn to accept defeat, if it's not going to work out.
Fast.
Yeah. But you really get that kind of freedom, and you don't, if you work for a big corporation, you don't have that kind of freedom.
No, absolutely not. Yeah.
Entrepreneurs, small business owners, they have the, everything's on you. The buck stops with you. But the, flip side is you get that creativity.
Yep. So on the flip side, what keeps you up at night?
What keeps me up at night? This kind of business has its ups and downs. You're going to gain clients. You're going to lose clients. It's just, every agency owner will tell you. So what keeps me up at night is you still have the same things. You've got to make your payroll. You've got to, you got your bills to pay, whatever they may be. You're trying to grow it. You're trying to, figure out roadblocks. Every business ends up running into roadblocks, and they're trying to figure out how to get over them. And I don't care who you are, you're going to run into them.
God, it's inevitable.
Yeah, it is. It's just a matter of what it is and how long it takes you to figure out a way through it, if you can. So those are the things that keep you up at night. I know, I say if you're sleeping well, well, you're not, you've gotten past them, or, they haven't, you haven't hit them yet.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. But, so you're always going to have things that keep you up at night. And the thing about being an entrepreneur, and the one thing you have to accept is no matter what decision you make, somebody's unhappy with it.
Always. Not everyone's happy.
Yeah. You can't, whether it's your employees, it could be your clients, whatever it is, somebody will disagree, say you're wrong, you shouldn't do it, it's not going to work, you're going to have naysayers, and you have to, that's the thing. You cannot, it will bother you. You wouldn't be human if it didn't bother you to some degree, but you have to be able to overlook it. You have to be able to look past it, really, and you have to be able to shrug it off and say, look, I wrote an article. I'm a member of the Forbes Agency Council, and a couple of years I wrote an article, and I said in the article, basically said at the end of the day, unless you have partners, go 10 years down the road, and everybody that was a naysayer or whatever probably isn't going to be in your company anyway. It's not because you let them go or anything. They'll leave of their own accord. That's just the nature of things. But you're the only one that you actually have to satisfy.
Absolutely.
And that's the trick with it. But you have to you have to understand that, and you have to be willing to not take it all so personally.
Yes.
Yeah, because if you do, like I say, you can't please everybody. And if you try, you're just going to make yourself miserable.
Absolutely. So what is the most important thing to carry with you all the time?
The most important thing to carry with you?
Yeah.
Well, when I was in the military, I was a Leatherman.
Oh yeah, I still have a Leatherman, and I'm not in the military, but yeah.
Yeah, no, I carried that thing on my hip every day for for my entire service. But as an entrepreneur, that's an interesting question. The one, I think the one thing to carry with you is stay humble, actually, because entrepreneurship will humble you.
Oh my God, it beats it into you.
So, but don't be so, be proud of your accomplishments. Understand that you have to constantly look at the bigger picture. Your job is to look at the bigger picture. And, they have the saying of, work on your business, not in your business.
Yes.
And you have to understand to be able to separate the two. And I think the one thing that entrepreneurs have this big failure to, when you go to sell your business, and I'm not looking to sell or anything, but when you do, a lot of businesses, I think it's like 80% don't actually sell. Yeah, it's a really high number that they end up shut down instead because they can't find a buyer. And the thing is you should always be considering every day when you go to work, you have to be considering, how do you separate yourself from the business? If you grow it enough, how do you separate it? Because it's the only way you create true value. Okay. When you become an entrepreneur, you don't necessarily do it for the money. Yes, everybody likes the money.
Oh, really?
Okay? If you can get somewhere. Okay. Not everybody does. But you could achieve a payday down the road, because at some point you're going to want to call it a day. You will at some point. Now, it could be 20 years down the road. You don't know. But you should always be setting up your business with the idea of, what does it do? How does it run if you are not involved in the day-to-day affairs? And that should be the thing that you really carry with you, is how do you make that happen? At the very least, it allows you to take a stress-free vacation.
Oh, yeah, that sounds good. I haven't taken one of them in a while. Yeah.
Yeah. So you need to do that. And if you don't do that, if you're not considering that, thinking about that, you'll be stuck in the grind every single day. I am fortunate enough to have gotten to a place where I have a president of the company, and I'm the CEO. The president deals with, I've got somebody I can trust, does a really good job. Certain things they're better at than I am. The whole, hire for your weaknesses, do what
you're good at, hire for the rest.
Exactly. So, so you want to be able to position your business to eventually be able to do that, to be able to break away. So you're going to have certain concerns, but at least you'll have less of them. You shouldn't have to be fighting every fire. If you are in a position to have to make every decision, you've created a job. You haven't created a business, even if you have employees, you're still got a job,
Exactly.
And you want to be able to have it run on its own at some point.
Absolutely. So where can people find you online? Like, where's your watering hole online? What's the big site?
Company's titandigital.com. The biggest place you can find me, I'm pretty active on LinkedIn, because I play on there a lot.
Yeah, it's hard not to when you're an entrepreneur.
Yeah, with content. We've got our own podcast, Marketing Masters.
Check it out. We'll have it in the show notes. Absolutely.
Yeah, and the but I'm on there, and I actually managed to get, I think mine is like just /Cash Miller. So I'm, because of my, because of my first name, I'm very easy to find on LinkedIn.
You are. I found you
yeah,
very easily.
Yeah, you're not going to find a bunch of others, with my kind of a name. So that makes it, because I'll tell you what, I've searched other people on LinkedIn, and I'm like, okay, which of these 20 people are they?
Exactly. And sometimes I have pictures up. It's like, what?
Yeah, and I can be emailed at cash@titandigital.com. But yeah, LinkedIn is my typical playing ground for anything social media.
Sounds good. Well, Cash, this has been so much fun. I'm glad we got to reconnect, and we will see everyone next time.
Yeah, it's great being here.
That was a great show. If you're enjoying Entrepreneurs Enigma, please review us in the podcast directory of your choice. Every review helps other podcast listeners find our show. If you're looking for other podcasts in the marketing space, look no further than the Marketing Podcast Network at marketingpodcasts.net. Goldstein Media hopes you have enjoyed this episode.
You may know you're listening to this show along the Marketing Podcast Network, but did you know there are other great shows on MPN to help your business? May King, Sang, and Amanda Webb host a high-energy, super fun podcast called The Extra Shot. Amanda, May King, tell listeners what you cover on the show.
We talk about the hottest new topic in digital marketing or social media and how it's going to affect your business and how you can utilize it to get more sales.
We also discuss the Internet Winner of the Week, the Internet Loser of the Week. And if you share your thoughts and opinions with us, then you'll get to plug your business on the show.
And where can people subscribe?
You can find the show at marketingpodcasts.net. I'm saying because that's marketing podcast with an S on the end, .net.
Or search for The Extra Shot wherever you get your podcasts.
You heard them. Go subscribe. This podcast is heard along the Marketing Podcast Network. For more great marketing podcasts, visit marketingpodcasts.net.